Hello, Winooski 5th graders. We will continue reading Mac Kid Spy, The Impossible Crime by Mac Barnett. Remember, the Queen suspects that tonight Colonel Blood's great-great-great-great-great-great-great-great-great-great-great-grandson is going to steal the crown jewels, and only Mac and Holcroft can stop them. Chapter 8, A Locked Room. If you have read my first book about life as a spy, Mack Undercover, you already know what the Tower of London looks like. If you haven't, it looks like this. And if you read that first book, you already know what beefeaters look like. If you didn't read it, well, maybe you should. Also, beefeaters look like this. Actually, I'm a vegetarian. And if you have read the first book, again, it's called Mack Undercover. You might remember a beefeater who did not like spies. Here was his face when we met him in the first book. And here is his face when he saw me again. "Please stop making that face, Holcroft," said the Queen of England. "It is terribly unattractive." Holcroft made this face instead. "A little better," said the Queen, "but not much." We were all three of us, the Queen, Holcroft, and me, standing inside a small white cell. A small table in the center of the room held a crown, a scepter, and an orb. "Here before you are the items Colonel Blood tried to steal so many centuries ago," said the Queen. "I expect young Blood will come to steal them tonight." "Oh, what I don't understand," I said, "is why Blood would write you a letter warning that he was coming for the jewels." "Well," said the Queen, "when a thief tells something he's going to steal something and then he steals it, it shows panache. Panache runs in our blood. Who get it? Ha 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 ha. In any case, I took the precaution of ordering Holcroft to remove these treasures from the jewel house and bring them here, to this dungeon. I now entrust them to your care. When I leave this cell, I will lock you both inside. You are to keep watch this night and see to it that young Blood does not succeed in pilfering my jewels. Tomorrow morning I will come to let you out again. If any attempt is made on my treasures, sound the alarm! Subdue the villain! Stop at nothing to protect the jewels!" "I like to think that I have panache," said Holcroft. "Holcroft," said the Queen, "you have many fine qualities, but panache is not among them." Holcroft gave the Queen a grim nod and gripped his axe. I nodded too, and wished that I had an axe or something. Holcroft cleared his throat. "A wonderful plan, Mum, but with respect, I'd rather not keep watch with him." The Queen sighed. "And why not?" she asked. Well, Mum, it's a guardsman's job watching over the jewels, and I don't like spies." "Oh, with respect," I said, "I'd rather not keep watch with him." The Queen sighed. "And why not?" said the Queen. Well, because he doesn't like me." "Listen," said the Queen, "have you ever tried to stay up all night?" "Yeah," I said. "And what happened?" I fell asleep." "Exactly," said the Queen. "This is a case of two heads being better than one, which is a funny expression to use at this moment, since many people were locked in this dungeon and lost their heads." I said. "You will sleep in shifts, and you will learn to work together. When two people overcome their differences to succeed at an important task, it provides an important lesson about teamwork, and is good to always be teaching children important lessons." Okay, I said. "But, Mum," said Holcroft. The Queen frowned and cleared her throat. When she spoke, you could tell she was using all capital letters. My mom had a similar tone of voice. Follow my command, said the Queen. That is an order. Holcroft straightened his back. Yes, Mum, said Holcroft. He smiled, but you could tell he didn't mean it. The Queen pulled out a large key ring and stepped outside the cell. I am locking you inside now, she said. Good night, Holcroft. Good night, Mac. Good night, Jewels. See you all in the morning. The lock clanged, the keys jangled, and the Queen's footsteps grew faint as she disappeared down a winding staircase. Holcroft glared at me. I sneezed, and my sneeze echoed against the walls of our cell. Well, I said, this is kind of weird. Chapter 9. Slumber Party. 2 hours later, the sun had gone down. Our cell was lit by footlights that cast a strange shadow on the wall. Holcroft was passing time by playing solitaire on the floor. I wished I had brought a book or my Game Boy or something. This is kind of like a slumber party, I said. It is nothing like a slumber party, said Holcroft. Have you ever been to a slumber party? No, I said, but my friend Derek LaFoy had a few last year, and I heard all about them. Holcroft lost his game and shuffled his cards. Hey, I said, do you know any two-player games? Like Old Maid? Yes, said Holcroft. He kept playing solitaire. I was bored. My teachers always said I was better at talking to adults than I was talking to other kids, so I made a try at what grown-ups call small talk. Hey, I said, why do they call you guys beef eaters? Holcroft did not look up from his game. Used to be, he said. Every night, a guard at the tower ate beef for supper. Ah, I said, that's a good name. For the first time, Holcroft smiled at me. It's a nickname, you know. Our full name is Yeoman Warders of Her Majesty's Royal Palace and Fortress the Tower of London, and members of the Sovereign's Bodyguard of the Yeoman Guard Extraordinary. Well, that feels a little long, I said. Holcroft stopped smiling at me. It's an important job, isn't it? Guarding the jewels, protecting a tower. Seems to me an important job deserves a long name. Okay, I said. Seems to me, Holcroft said, our name could be even longer. Used to be kings and queens slept here, and we protected them too. Used to be notorious prisoners were locked up in these very towers, and we made sure they didn't escape. That's honorable work. Okay, I said. I take this seriously, Holcroft said. Members of my family have been yeoman warders of Her Majesty's Royal Palace and Fortress Tower of London, and members of the Sovereign's Bodyguard of the Yeoman Guard Extraordinary, going back 12 generations. And I don't need some American kid spy telling me whether the name's any good or not. Okay, I said. The cell was silent. Well, I said, who wants to sleep first? Chapter 10. First Watch. Holcroft held out a gold coin. Heads or tails, he said. Loser takes the first watch. He flipped the coin in the air. Tails, I said. I had a rule. Always call tails. The cell coin clanged on the floor, danced on its edge, and fell. It was heads. Staring up from the coin, the Queen looked disappointed at me. You lose, Holcroft said. Wake me up in 4 hours. He lay down on the floor and pulled his cloak over his head. You're just sleeping right there? A soldier can sleep anywhere, he said from under the cloak. Neat, I said. Well, good night. He peeled back the cloak. Don't fall asleep. I know, I said. You have to stay focused. Don't let your mind get away from you. I know, I said. If your mind starts to wander, make a list of everything that's in the room. It's an old soldier's trick. Good night, I said. Holcroft started snoring. My mind started wandering. My eyes started closing. No, I forced them back open. I had to prove to Holcroft I could stay awake for my shift. I yawned. It was me versus my mind. I did like Holcroft said and looked around the room. I saw table, crown, scepter, orb, man, axe, me. That was it. It was a small room. I did it again. A table, a crown, a scepter, an orb, a man, an axe, me. I checked my watch. 1 minute had passed. I had to look closer. A good spy notices everything. A spider. A web. 4 walls made of stone. No. Made of stones. I'd count every stone. That would take me hours. I would start from the top. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59, 60, 61, 62, 63, 64, 65, 66, 67, 68, 69, 70, 71, 72, 73, 74, 75, 76, 77, 78, 79, 80, 81, 82, 83, 84, 85, 86, 87, 88, 89, 90, 91, 92, 93, 94, 95, 96, 97, 98, 99, 100, 100, 100, 200, 300, 400, 500, 600, 700, 800, 900, 10, 100, 11, 112, 113, 114, 115, 116, 117, 118, 119, 120, 122, 123, 124, 125, 126, 127, 128, 129, 130, 132, 133, 134, 135, 136, 137, 138, 139, 140, 141, 142, 143, 144, 145, 146, 147, 148, 149, 150, 151, 152, 153, 154, 155, 156, 157, 158, 159, 160, 161, 162, 163, 164, 165, 166, 167, 168, 169, 170, 171, 172, 173, 174, 175, 176, 177, 178, 179, 180, 181, 182, 183, 184, 185, 186, 187, 188, 189, 190, 191, 192, 193, 194, 195, 196, 197, 198, 199, 100, and 201, 202, 203, 204, 205, 206, 207, 208, 209, 210, 211, 212, 213, 214, 215, 216, 217, 218, 219, 220, 221, 222, 223, 224, 200. All right, friends. What might happen while Mac has fallen asleep on his duty? All right, friends, I will talk to you next week for the next installment of Mac Kid Spy.